Have you ever stopped to think just how massive the Dangerverse has become over the years? We've been to the future, the past, watched Henry grow up and Dangerforce take over, altered the course of history a few times, so buckle up as we dive into the complete Dangerverse timeline as it stands so far. Alright, this timeline can get a little complicated, so we're going to start with a key moment we all know and love. 2014, Henry becomes Kid Danger. When looking for a part-time job, 13-year-old Henry Hart instead stumbles across the opportunity of a lifetime and ends up taking the oath to become Captain Man's sidekick and keep his new identity a secret.
I, Henry Hart,
I, Henry Hart,
pledge to be an awesome sidekick to Captain Man.
pledge to be an awesome sidekick to Captain Man.
And this is where the timeline begins, right? Not exactly. The full timeline starts way before this. Oh wait, that might be too far. We'll come back to that. But let's get some big picture context first and head to Swellview is founded.
That was built way back in 1898.
The city of Swellview was founded next to Bordertown, Neighborville, and Rivalton back in 1898. Let's drop some more key moments on the timeline on our way back to the present. As for when Ray Manchester was born.
How old are you?
Next person who asks me how old I am is gonna get a little visit from Angry Punch Guy. Who is 30
30 it is. But didn't Ray reveal his superhero name Captain Man sometime in the early 70s?
In the studio with me right now is the dude who's fixing the high-five mixing, Captain Man!
That's right. I hate commies, but I love mommies.
And he also did the Swellview Fashion Show in 1982.
1982 Swellview Fashion Show is officially out of time.
I'm too handsome not to be seen. We're out of time. No, I'm a model. You know what I mean?
You know what? Ray said he's 30, so we're sticking to that and jumping to 1989. Kid Ray has an accident and gains the power of indestructibility from his scientist dad Carl Manchester's transmolecular densitizer. Ray's molecules were now so dense he was immune to all damage and forever changed his life.
Son, are you all right?
Yeah, I feel great.
2001, Henry Hart, Charlotte Page, and Jasper Dunlop are born and our future heroes enter the timeline. 2005, the one and only Piper Hart is born and Henry gains a little sister. 2008, more future heroes emerge when Mika and Miles Macklin, Chapa Da Silva, and Bozo O'Brien are born. They'll be ready to become Dangerforce one day, but let's get back to 2014. Captain Man and Kid Danger were blowing bubbles and fighting crime. Everything was going smoothly until Charlotte figured out Henry's secret and he had no choice but to break his oath and admit that he was Kid Danger.
I'm Kid Danger.
I know. I figured that out.
Just promise me you'll never tell anyone.
I promise.
Captain Man actually fired him for breaking his oath, but the ever-clever Charlotte was able to get Henry rehired by catching an elusive criminal with Henry. Charlotte proved she was a genius asset to the team and avoided the normal protocol of having her memory erased by Captain Man. They would definitely need her help with 2015, the Time Jerker appears. With his trademark time machine, he caused chaos for our heroes on a fourth-dimensional level and caused Henry to relive the same day over and over again. Henry uses time travel knowledge to alter the course of the day to his advantage, but quickly learned that messing with time has dire consequences as set out to correct his timeline mistakes and set things back to normal.
Captain Man and Kid Danger. I had a feeling you'd find.
Now let's go get some Chinese food.
That's exactly what I was thinking!
Ray travels to 1709. When Piper got the oxbox from eating Henry's cookie, the only way to cure it was to travel back to 1709 Antarctica and capture a chicken capable of producing the vaccine. However, time travel can be a little tricky without the time jerker, and there was a mix-up trying to get Ray back from the past. Future Ray travels to 2016. Ray from 50 years in the future is accidentally brought back. He did, however, give a very interesting glimpse into everyone's future.
Henry! You're a boy again! And President Charlotte! You look just like you used to!
But the timeline had to be set right and all Rays put back in their proper place. Schwarz was able to figure out a way for Henry to pull present Ray back from 1709 by keeping part of his body on both sides of the portal. With the timeline reset and everyone back where they should be, things could continue on relatively normal until Jasper finds out Henry's secret. Through an amazing misunderstanding, Jasper inadvertently discovered the truth about Kid Danger when he was attempting to confront Henry about another issue. Henry thought his secret was out and freely transformed in front of his friend.
Why is Jasper's mouth hanging open? And why are you dressed like that in front of Jasper?
You're Kid Danger!
Yeah,
You knew that. You're the one who. Oh.
Jasper fell asleep.
Captain Man wanted to erase Jasper's memory, but Kid Danger couldn't bear to watch his friend be wiped away and threatened to turn in his gum unless Jasper could stay in the loop. Captain Man reluctantly agreed, and Jasper became the newest addition of the Man Cave. 2017, the Drex saga. Drex was revealed to be Captain Man's former sidekick all the way back in 2007, but they split ways after Drex's evil side started to show, and the two had an epic showdown that Captain Man barely survived. So Drex plotted his revenge for years and set out to destroy his former mentor and replacement sidekick, Kid Danger.
Get me.
It was pretty apparent our heroes were no match for the spiteful Drex, and all hope looked lost until Henry gains hypermotility. To even the scales, Ray and Schwaz decided it was finally time for Henry to power up. With the help of the South African bush lizard and the black shag spider, Henry gained hypermotility. With his newfound powers, Henry set out to settle the score with Drex and return the favor for humiliating him.
Spanky, spanky, spank your butt. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Spanky, spanky, spank your butt. Oh, the doo-dah day.
One more time.
Sure. Spanky, spanky, spank your butt. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Spanky, spanky, spank your butt. Oh, the doo-dah day.
Drex was defeated and Henry gained hypermotility, but it wouldn't be too long before we saw him again when 2018, Drex alters the timeline. Drex was able to escape his prison and use the Time Jerker's time portal to travel back to 1989 when Ray gained his indestructibility. Drex's evil plan was to alter history and take Little Ray's spot going through the densitizer, stealing Ray's indestructibility but gaining a wicked monster claw in the process.
Look at his hand. Look at his hand.
Yeah, look at my hand.
I could have told you, Drex.
Except for Ray, any other person who gets densitized also gets some weird side effect. Like your freaky monster paw.
I like it freaky.
With the help of a little more time travel, our heroes were able to restore Captain Man's indestructibility and defeat the evil Drex. Though still indestructible, Drex was sent way back in time to be dealt with another day. 2019, the Rick Twittler saga. RT mysteriously showed up to take evil to the next level with his plot to destroy the world's internet with his sentient computer virus. All he needed was to steal Kid Danger's hypermotility to amplify it.
Say goodbye to your superpower, Kid Danger.
No.
Okay.
What? No, wait.
See you in the Dark Ages.
Kid Danger loses hypermotility. Rick Twittler successfully drained Kid Danger of his powers and supercharged his virus. But as luck would have it, our heroes were able to restore Henry's speed from a single bee that happened to be flying by. Henry got his hypermotility back, but with little time to spare. With the virus spreading and the fate of the world resting in his hands, Henry chose to make the ultimate sacrifice and stop Rick Twittler no matter the cost. By touching the antivirus, Henry stopped the virus and saved the world, but lost his powers permanently in the process.
It's time to save the world.
Rick Twittler was defeated, but at such a heavy cost. Heroes march on though. Piper finds out Henry's secret. After coming close to finding out so many times, Piper finally crawled down the right rabbit hole to discover Kid Danger's secret identity. After begging Captain Man not to erase her memory, Piper quickly proved her worth to the team, and honestly, why was this not happening the whole time?
I'm the sidekick. I'm gonna risk my life to—
Dad!
What?
I fixed it. Let's go.
Did you seriously just fix that? Because that would be impressive.
Get me out of this guy's head, Schwartz!
And with that, Piper proved herself and Henry didn't have to hide his secret from his sister any longer. 2020, Future Piper travels back in time. Time travels back again when Future Piper traveled back to 2020 to stop an evil robot from destroying her younger self and altering the course of human history. They couldn't tell present Piper that her fate was to lead the entire human resistance against the evil machines in the future because they feared she wouldn't want to commit to a life of being covered in robot blood.
Hey, who's this? Your mom?
No, she's not my mom.
Your girlfriend?
I'll tell you who she is. She's you.
But with some help from Schwoz in a time prison, our heroes were able to stop the evil future robot from altering the past and the timeline was preserved. Future Piper returned home and present Piper remained unaware of her totally awesome fate, which brings us to 2020. Mika and Miles Macklin introduced. The twins Mika and Miles enter the Dangerverse when they're dropped off on Piper to babysit, which was followed by Chapa da Silva. She tracked down the help of Captain Man and Kid Danger after her phone was stolen by an unknown boy. And then, of course, Bose O'Brien. Bose is the stepson of the Vice Mayor and was also dumped off on babysitting duty to Captain Man and Kid Danger. With the future members of Dangerverse now on the scene, the final Drex showdown.
Remember me?
Drex is back for the biggest, baddest battle our heroes have ever faced. After being sent way back in time to the caveman days, Drex bided his time and plotted his revenge for so long he even brought caveman henchmen with him. His master plan to erase any trace of Captain Man from the memories of Swellview also led him to send Captain Man back to the caveman days to suffer the same fate he had.
Don't worry. If you ever want to see Captain Man again, I'm gonna leave the time ray right here and here.
But with some clever thinking, Ray sealed himself inside his punching stump knowing Henry and team would eventually find him all the way back in 2020. With Captain Man back in the picture and the fate of Swellview hanging in the balance, it was time to confront Drex. The Omega Weapon explosion. Schwoz built an Omega Weapon as a way to temporarily remove Drex's indestructibility to give our heroes a shot at defeating him. In the intense battle royale that followed, the Omega Weapon was damaged and the team had to adapt. When Ray made the call to discharge the Omega Weapon even though he'd be hit too, it exploded, causing the Great Power Shuffle.
Shoot us! I can't! I'll hit you! Just shoot us! You won't be destructible anymore! Neither will Drex! Now shoot us, you big quitter! Oh, you're being so extra about this. All right, guys, hold on to your hoses!
Both Captain Man and Drex were now destructible, and the rest of the team got a healthy blast of Omega exposure as well. Meanwhile, the man cave was destroyed with Charlotte and Jasper barely escaping in time. Drex Blimp Showdown. With nothing left to lose, Captain Man and Kid Danger tracked down Drex's blimp to stop him from wiping the memories of everyone in Swellview. The stakes were high and the battle was fierce.
You are the werewolf sidekick!
With Drex defeated and Captain Man still temporarily destructible, Henry made the choice to sacrifice himself and save Captain Man with the last remaining parachute.
This is not gonna feel good! Wait, what?
Henry gains new powers. As a result of the Omega Weapon exposure, Henry gained force field powers, giving him the ability to generate an impenetrable shield around himself. With the town of Swellview assuming Kid Danger had perished in the blimp crash, a phony funeral was held in his honor. It was then Henry decided to give up the mask and Henry moves to dystopia.
I was thinking. Yeah, me too. Time for you to leave Swellview. Really? You're not a sidekick anymore. You're a hero.
Well, I learned from the best. My hero, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
That guy sweats diesel.
And with that, the era of Henry Danger came to an end and it was time for a new team to pick up the torch. From the man's cave to the man's nest, Schwoz built a new secret hideout for our heroes in the Swellview Academy for the Gifted as a cover-up school.
Captain Man bought the school to teach us how to be superheroes, but if all we
Mind is a very important part of being a superhero. You have to learn to protect your secret identity.
You know what? We didn't ask
ask for these powers?
Here we go.
Yeah, you built the weapon that blew up and gave them to us when Captain Man and Kid Danger fought Drex.
Volt gained electrokinesis, the ability to generate and manipulate electricity. Brainstorm gained telekinesis, the ability to move objects with his mind. AWOL gained teleportation, the ability to warp anywhere in the world. And Shoutout, after a little time,
Not ready!
You guys, I have a superpower!
she accidentally released all the criminals from prison back into the city, and thus kicked off a new era in Swellview. 2021, Rick Twittler returns. Rick Twittler returned via an infected VR headset that took control of Mika's body. He had uploaded his consciousness to a supercomputer that finally found its way to the man's nest, and it wasn't long before he teamed up with the imprisoned Drex and freed him to wreak havoc.
What's the matter?
More baby talk!
Is somebody tired from getting beat up by a mean old Dangerverse?
I couldn't do cardio in that prison cell.
While our heroes were distracted, Rick Twittler swapped bodies a couple more times, eventually obtaining his evil cyborg body and revealing his plan to launch the entire man's nest into space and bring back his evil internet-destroying virus from 2019.
Enjoy space, future dead people.
No.
Okay.
Return of the virus. In order to destroy Rick Twittler's satellite and stop the spread of the virus, Dangerforce decided to use the indestructible Drex as a battering ram and smash the man's nest directly into the infected satellite, which led to the virus taking over Drex and spreading to everyone in the man's nest that was now hurtling back towards Earth. Brainstorm was able to slow it down and give them a safe landing, but the virus had already spread. Volt blasted away the virus in an incredible display of power, destroying it once and for all and knocking everyone out. Rick Twittler and Drex fled with Volt and Shoutout as their hostages and retreated to Nakatomi Tower to regroup. Our remaining heroes met back at the man's nest and decided to call in reinforcements. Henry returns. AWOL teleported to Dystopia and borrowed Henry in order to help bring down Rick Twittler and Drex. Henry was quickly brought up to speed, and after some clever phonies dropping by Shoutout, our heroes learned of Rick's evil plan.
And then I thought, if I can't beat the internet, I'm gonna be the internet.
Are you gonna stab it to death?
No.
Cyborg Twittler altered his plan to instead take over the internet and obtain world domination by controlling every device connected to it. All he needed were the Shellgong crystals still buried in the previously destroyed man cave. So the indestructible Drex set out to retrieve them while Dangerforce set out to intercept him. The plan backfired and Henry was captured by a brainwashed Shoutout and Volt. He was taken back to Nakatomi Tower and hooked up to a machine that harnessed his force field power to create a barrier around the entire town of Swellview, effectively keeping out anyone who would try to stop Rick Twittler on his path to world domination. Luckily, the remaining free members of Dangerforce bravely teleported into battle. After a fierce fight, our heroes rescued Henry from the evil machine and reversed the brainwashing done on Shoutout and Volt. Thus, the world was saved and Rick Twittler and Drex were returned to prison. Things finally looked like they were going to settle down until Dangerforce loses their powers. When Dangerforce's powers suddenly vanished, the future of the Dangerforce was in jeopardy as the team was worried Ray wouldn't let them fight crime anymore. Once Ray found out, he demanded they turn in their gumballs and quit.
Look, I'm sorry, but if you guys can't get your powers back, I'm gonna have to take back your gumballs and suspend you from fighting crime.
What? That's not fair. You let Henry fight without superpowers.
Yeah, and he almost died like 1,000 times.
We're gonna get our powers back!
Yeah, Schwarz said he could do it. Look, Schwarz cannot just magically science up a way to fix every problem, okay? That's not how life works.
With the team fired from Dangerforce, they were left with no choice but to track down the person responsible for sapping their powers from them. Our heroes were able to find the cause of their power loss was being secretly fed red-eyed mudfish and realized they could still fight crime despite not having powers. But the team was still left powerless and unsure of their future. Ray admitted he was impressed with their bravery and the Dangerforce was hired back. And eventually, 2022, Dangerforce regains its powers. After a mix-up with Ray's backup clones being released and wreaking havoc on the man's nest, Schwarz revealed he accidentally made the clones evil by using spicy milk instead of clone milk. When dealing with the evil clones, Chess Monster had the genius idea to use the clone DNA to restore Dangerforce's powers. And with a little help from Schwarz, our heroes had their former powers restored and Dangerforce was back in full swing.
Hey, did you guys get your superpowers back?
Only one way to find out.
The timeline was set right, and that brings us to where we are currently. So to recap, the Dangerverse timeline is, well, massive, and there's so much story left to tell. The only way to find out how everything comes together is to keep tuning in for more of your favorite Dangerverse moments, only on Nick.